Hello and welcome back to Under Review. I hope everyone had a happy New Year's Eve and is excited for this 2023 season. I have on a co-host today who I'm sure you guys all already know and missed a lot. Grant, it's great to have you back on the show.
It's great to be back. I feel like I never left.
So without further ado, let's get into it. Although that's usually your line. First off, we played Creighton last week. Aubrey Griffin comes back from holiday break with COVID. Amari DeBerry stuck in Buffalo with a flight delay. Nothing UConn doesn't expect. Have to play with 7 players. We overcame in a great way, but I think it is insane and something to note that this team is continually having to play down multiple people, and that's not even injury. Those two, that's a sickness and a flight. It's just insane how they never catch a break. But Dorka and Aaliyah absolutely went off. Aaliyah 20 rebounds, Dorka Juhasz 18, both having a double-double. Aaliyah 23 points, Dorka Juhasz 22. They out-rebounded Creighton alone and almost outscored their entire team by 2 points. So how do you think, just from last year, Dorka and Aaliyah have improved and changed together?
I think it's different answers for each of them. I think Aaliyah, it's pretty much just the confidence. We saw flashes her freshman year of how good she could be. And then last year, it was a struggle for her. She started off really slow, and I think it just got to her mentally. And I think, with the whole summer off, it was a fresh start, and she came back focused, ready to play, and she got it going. And early on, the confidence was there, and she's been a star for this team all throughout the year. Then for Dorka, I think it's just year 2 in the system. Last year, it's her first year with the program off of years at Ohio State. It's new offense, it's new teammates, it's a lot of new variables she had to get used to. And I mean, not to mention all the injuries and changes that happened last year, but now it's, once again, another summer building on what she'd already had here. And it's just the best that we're seeing now is just who she is as a player. And now that it's really clicking for her in this new system and with these new teammates.
I think it's extremely rare to have such a powerful duo down low, especially because that's something that UConn has struggled with in the past. I know that a lot of people were nervous losing Olivia Nelson-Ododa, what the team would be like this year. But seeing this, I think it's such reassurance and something that they'll definitely need going into March. I know that we said that this season it really relied on how well Aaliyah would do, but also having Dorka there, it's just reassurance for the team. Another person that we're starting to see do well again, Caroline Ducharme. She went absolutely off her freshman year, really stepped up when was needed. But the beginning of the season, she was just kind of lacking, and we're starting to see her shine again. Do you think that she has the potential to really change this team the rest of this season?
Absolutely. Once Azzi comes back, Caroline probably gets moved back to the bench there, and then that just adds a whole nother scoring dimension off the bench. But last year we saw the same kind of thing happen. She got promoted into the starting lineup when there was really no other option, and she kind of took off from there. And then once she got moved back to the bench, she kind of, I don't know, it wasn't a loss of confidence. She just, I don't know if she didn't know her role or what it was, but she took a step back, and we can't see that same regression this year of once she gets moved back to the bench, she can't have that fall off. We need that extra scorer off the bench who can come in and get you 6 or 8 points quickly in a quarter when someone like Azzi or Lou needs a rest. We need to be able to have someone else we can depend on to score the basketball.
I hope she does continue to do better consistently, even if Azzi comes back, because I know that sometimes when she does get moved to the end of the bench, she doesn't shine like how she does under pressure. So I'm hoping this season she's able to be that 6th man that we really need. But it has been reported Azzi Fudd is returning to basketball activities. We do not know when she's going to return to a game, but how do you think she's going to impact the rest of the season? Do you think that she'll be able to come back and be at her full potential, or do you think it's going to take a couple weeks?
I mean, it'll take a few weeks once she gets back. I honestly think they'll do kind of the same thing they did with Paige. They'll bring her off the bench for the first few games, play a handful of minutes here and there, and kind of get, her her cardio back up and everything. So she's game ready, and they test that knee out and everything. So she's good to go. And then from there, she'll get inserted back into the starting lineup, and she'll be who she was. Maybe she'll miss a few extra threes at first just because the rust, but that'll come back real quick. I think she's going to be the exact same player that she was at the start of the season that we saw just completely take over the game against Texas. So I think once she's back, she'll be at full strength eventually before March.
I hope so. I hope before that February 5th game against South Carolina, because I know a lot of people are stepping up, but I definitely think that she could be that edge that could get the win over them. Talking about South Carolina, top 25 list came out again on ESPN. They kind of revised it. Number 1 stayed the same, Aaliyah Boston. Caitlin Clark's number 2, and Azzi Fudd ranks at number 3. She was ranked in like the 13 to 15 range in the beginning of the season. They completely underestimated her, and even with injury, still ranked number 3. Nika Mule, Aubrey Griffin, Lou Lopez, Seneschal receiving votes. Aaliyah Edwards came in at 14. Do you think anything should be different about this list? Do you agree with anything particularly on this list?
I mean, I love where Azzi's at up there. Obviously, everyone knows what Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark and people like that have done, but she belongs up there with them. Like I referenced earlier, that Texas game where she had 32 points and just absolutely took over in the fourth quarter against a highly ranked team like that. At the time, obviously, Texas has struggled a little bit more at times this year, but when you have a player who can just take over a game and dominate like that and win it basically by themselves, they've got to be discussed as a top tier player up here. And I think with time, she can prove herself to be in that Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston category of players. Paige Beckers, can't forget her. She would be right up there with them as well. And then Aaliyah Edwards, it's great to see her up there, and she's having a fantastic season. Double machine really is just the staple and foundation down low for the Huskies this year. So I've got no problem with where she's at either.
I think that depending on when Azzi returns, she could be in that talk for National Player of the Year. It's upsetting that she fell to injury, because I thought that in the beginning of the season, I'm like, there's no way this girl isn't winning it. But now that she's kind of out now, I don't know where she stands. Personally, I would have Caitlin Clark first and Aaliyah Boston second. All love to Aaliyah Boston, but I feel like if you're scoring 12.4 points per game, that's really not enough to be considered the number 1 player in the nation compared to Caitlin Clark's 27 points per game. I know that Aaliyah Boston's been sitting more now that they're not playing as competitive of teams, so that could be affecting it. But it definitely does bring into question when we're going to play South Carolina. If she's only averaging 12 points a game, who's going to be that leading person on their team? I honestly want Aaliyah Edwards to be in the talk for National Player of the Year. I think that she's constantly underestimated. I think that because she came in with Paige's class, that it was more shine on Paige and not on Aaliyah. But I think that she's been doing so well down low, and she improved so much from last season that I definitely think she should be in the conversation more.
Yeah, well, she's definitely going to be first team All Big East, and I think she'll be first or second team in the country. It just depends how things kind of stack up down the stretch here. But there's no reason not to have her name at least mentioned in the conversation. You're right about that.
We've changed in ranking. We're now back up to 5, which is great to hear. Do you think at this point, with South Carolina being 1, Stanford being 2, then Ohio State, Notre Dame, do you think there's really any room to move with our schedule the rest of the season, or do you think that'll just depend on other teams losing?
I think a win over South Carolina definitely puts us up in front of at least Ohio State. And I mean, with South Carolina, it puts you kind of neck and neck with them, but I think they'd still have the edge with their overall resume that they have. But I just think over time, UConn, if they can just control the Big East like they always have and keep getting these 30, 40-point wins, hopefully once back and healthy, I think that'll prove them to be a top 3 team in the country. Probably it'll be tough to move past Notre Dame without a loss since they beat us head to head, but only time can tell. We'll see.
Gino Rayama said that he would know if the team was winning a national championship by the end of December. Has he told us? No. But do you think there's anything they need to improve or change, just looking at how they did last year, that would make them be able to complete it this year?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, got to get healthy and stay healthy. A lot of this is, I know that they've been working together a lot in the summer, early in the season, but they've got to continue to get that chemistry building and building. I mean, like I said, Nika assisting to everyone. She's a great playmaker, great facilitator. So that's great to have someone like that. Whereas last year, Paige was more the ball dominant player when she was in. So it's great to have someone who gets it in their hands and just moves it quickly. But the thing that killed them last year was down low in the tournament, like Aaliyah Boston. There wasn't a ton of answers for her in rebounding, but we've seen Dorka and our Aaliyah do a lot better job of that this year. So it's just keeping teams off the glass, not giving them second shots, and that's something that they've done a lot better job of this year. So the main thing is just getting healthy and continuing to build on the momentum and chemistry.
I completely agree. I think if you told us at the beginning of the season that Paige and Azzi would both be bench, Ice Brady even adding to that, I would be completely concerned. And I already think they're doing a lot better than I would have if I knew that then. I guess we'll have to wait and see how it goes, but hopefully they can conquer the Big East play first. Got a lot of Big East games coming up, so stay tuned for all that. But it was great having you on, Grant, and I hope you all have a happy new year. Thanks for watching.